Hello, and welcome to the fourth session of the Highlands.3 Webinar series, Sustainable Development in Mountain Areas. Today, we are talking together about food studies and mountain agriculture with five very good presentations from different partners of the Highlands.3 network. I'm Fernando Ruiz-Peire. I will moderate today this session together with my colleague Hugo, and I am researcher at the Institute of Interdisciplinary Mountain Research of the Austrian Academy of Sciences, based in Austria, and I am the main coordinator of the project Highland3. Hugo, thank you for being here with me and for introducing this webinar together.
Yes, welcome to all also, and I'm glad to see that we have a lot of colleagues of our project and a lot of assistants that have also interest in these kind of studies. In particular, today we will speak a lot the food studies and the mountain agriculture with a fabulous panel of specialists from around the world. So enjoy this webinar.
As you know, we are doing this fourth session. We have now more than 50 registered participants watching us. That's very interesting for us. We are also live in Facebook, and you can also follow our other webinars going to our homepage. Today, before we start, I would like to say some introducing words. Again, this is a webinar of this project, Collective Approach of Research and Innovation for Sustainable Development in Highland. Highland3, it's a big project supported by the European Union, and we are more than 40 institutions all over the world working together in order to compare and to analyze initiatives for sustainable development in mountain areas all over the world. The main aspects of this project, if you are interested, please visit our webpage, www.highlands3.eu, and there you will find the most important informations about the project and also information about the activities. And there, exactly there, you can find also the last webinars and see these webinars again. It will be a pleasure for us if you join us there. As I said, we have more than 70 people watching us now. The audience, it's not allowed to talk and to be seen. It's this format of webinars, but you can ask questions to the panelists. And that's why we have this Q&A, and we just very briefly introduce and explain this Q&A for the audience. If you want to make any questions to the panelists, just go down there to this Q&A, or in your language could be different, but in using this function, you will be able to make answers. Please, if you are at late, or say to whom are you asking, if you want to, then it will be easy for us to know who should answer your question. And the question should be open and be seen by all the audience. The panelists will answer your questions in a written form, and you will have my question, all the questions that the panelists will see it like this, and we can answer your questions, and you will be able to comment there if also using this window. Well, before we start with the first presentation, as you know, the food production and agriculture activities in mountain areas is a very traditional activity. It's one of the most important activities in mountain areas all over the world. We have, as you can think about the cheese production in the Alps, or if you think about potatoes in the Peruvian Andes, we have several examples of long history of food production in mountain areas, which are really typical. They are really had a strong characterize, and they are very typically in each region, and they are very important for the local sustainability and the persistence of the mountain population. Also, this economic activity, this food production, is very important for the local culture and identity. We know that this activity help us to preserve the society and this culture living or way of living in the mountain. Some of these aspects will be presented by in these next 2 hours, and we will try to find the links between different activities and the different regions and to learn from each other. This is one of the main goals of Highland 3, and we want to always to learn how is some initiative, some experience in some region working, and how to learn in order to transfer them to other mountain range in the world or other context. That's not always possible, but that's why we want to learn how could be helping. And these activities also important in order not only to preserve the society or the cultural aspect, but also environmental aspect. This activity had a long tradition, and a lot of the diversity, environmental, natural diversity, biodiversity in mountain regions depends on a mountain agriculture. I would like to invite now Enrico Sturaro from the University of Padua to turn on his camera and to start with the first presentation about added value on mountain livestock systems. Enrico had long experience in the Alps and Italian Alps and other regions, and also connected to many other livestock researchers all over the world, and was from the very beginning involved in the project Highland 3. And it's a pleasure for me to have you here opening this webinar today. Enrico, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Fernando. Good morning to everybody. I try to share my screen. Okay.
I had to stop mine first. Now you will be able.
I think now you are able to see my screen.
You are seeing your screen. Yes. Go ahead.
I am Enrico Sturaro from the University of Padua in Italy. I'm a professor of animal science, and with my research group, we are particularly interested in sustainable development of mountain livestock systems. Today, I will present you 2 case studies as initiative to generate added value for mountain livestock product in Eastern Italian Alps. We moved from this assumption. During the last decades, the mountain farming system were affected by climatic and socioeconomic changes, and this caused 2 specific trajectory. First one, the abandonment of marginal and less favored areas, and the second one, the intensification in the most favorable areas in the main valleys. The idea is to study how we are able to generate added value for traditional grassland-based system, combining the valorization of local breeds, typical products, and mountain agroecosystems. To do this, I'm going to present you the first case study. This is based on a typical product of the Alps, that is traditional cheese. We have a large variety of traditional cheeses across the Alps. And in Italy, we have a special link with PDO cheeses, protected denomination of origin. Here I show you the study area of Trento. Trento is an autonomous province in the north of Italy, and it is entirely mountainous with large incidence of grassland. We have more than 1,300 square kilometers of agricultural surface, and it is done mainly by grassland. In Trento, we have more than 1,000 dairy cattle farms still active, and the system is based on cooperation, and the main products are PDO cheeses. I show you these 2 pictures to emphasize the fact that we are considering both permanent farms in the valleys and summer pasture in the highlands. because this link with different environment is very relevant in terms of ecosystem services and link with the environment. I used the term added value. The first added value is the economic one. And here I show you a picture taken from a paper that we published some years ago. We see the evolution of the price for the milk conferred to the dairies during 6 different years. The red line indicates the price paid for the farmers conferring the milk for dairy cooperatives producing PDO cheeses. The black line is in Trento, but for conventional dairy commercial dairies. And the green one is the average price in Lombardy, which is taken as references for the price of the milk in Italy. And we see that in conventional dairies, we have a price ranging from 30 to 40 euro cents per liter. In the cooperative dairies producing PDO cheeses in Trento, the price paid to the farmer increased and it is around 60 euro cents per liter. It means that cooperation and link with high quality products is generating a 50% extra value in terms of payment for the milk. Another important aspect of added value is the social values in terms of cooperation. In this picture, I show you a specific case. It is the Primero cooperative. It is one of the region in the Trento province. We developed some project together with Karim Pashoud that was involved in the frame of Highlands project. And in this cooperative, they are producing not only the typical PDO cheese of that area, which is Trentin-Grana, but they are producing also some other local and peculiar cheese, like Nostrano Primero on this fresh cheese called Tosela. This cooperative is characterized by several positive values. One is the strong level of cooperation. This is an image of network advice. It is quite evident that there are a lot of interaction, and in particular, we evidence that the member of the cooperative trust in their leader and they interact to further develop the activity. In this kind of case study, we developed several methodological approaches that I would like to introduce to you during the development of Highland projects. We don't have time today, but at the end of my presentation, I have added a link and you can see the different methodological approach. We are studying both intrinsic quality of the product, we are studying the environmental sustainability, and we are interested to further develop the socio-economic aspect of this kind of cooperation. The second case study is an ongoing project that we are following in our region in Veneto, and it is on another product. We are working on sheep meat, focusing on 2 local breeds, Lamont and Alpagota. The idea is to improve the competitiveness of this kind of farms, valorizing the link with mountain agroecosystem. Here I'm going to quickly present to you 3 different methodological approaches. We are trying to support sustainable use of animal genetic resources. These kind of local breeds have an history in the area. They are present in the area since several centuries and are part of the culture and the heritage of that area. But they need to be used in the right way. Then we are trying to promote the products through territorial marketing strategy, and we are supporting the farmer to convert to organic production. I present to you the main characteristics of these farms. Lamont breed is in Belluno province, is in the north of Italy, in the border with Austria. It is a very small population, less than 400 animals. It means that there is a serious risk of extinction. There are less than 25 flocks, but it is relevant because it's part of the biodiversity and is part of the history of this territory. Then we have another breed in which the population is larger and there is an economy. In this case, we have almost 60 flock. And I want to point out that there is a slow fall presidium called Agnello d'Alpago. Agnello is lamb in Italian. The main product is the lamb. And in terms of genetic resources, I share with you this idea we had. We developed an application for mobile phone to support the mating strategies. The idea is to help the farmer to interact, to limit the risk of inbreeding. You know that when you are going to lose genetic variability, you lose the main characteristic of these kind of animals that are rustic. But it's a good excuse to have this kind of tools also to improve the interaction between farmers. They need to cooperate, and we see that it is working quite well. Some general results just to make you understand which kind of system we are considering. In the first case study, we were considering productive dairy farms with an agriculture well-defined structure. In this case, we have a lot of part-time farmer or people that are involved in agriculture, but they do also other activity more than breeding this kind of sheep. You see that the flock are quite small. You have an average size of 8.5 livestock unit per farm of local breed. And the farms are located on an elevation around 700 meters above sea level, and they are using mainly grassland. A good point is that they are self-sufficient. They are using all local grassland. I want to describe this point with a picture. I think it's more easy. This is a GIS approach to evidence the link between sheep farms and landscape. Here you see the Alpago region. This is a lake, is a touristic place. And if we move in the picture, we are moving towards an altitudinal gradient in which we have a mosaic of landscape given by forest, grassland, and highland pastures. The red point indicates the patches of grassland managed by one single farm. And it is interesting to show that only one farmer with a small flock, in this case he has 300 sheep in total, is able to manage a lot of small patches of grassland, even in the more marginal areas. And this is very important in terms of maintenance of the landscape and in terms of ecosystem services. Our attempt is to use this kind of link also to promote the marketing of this kind of products in terms of extrinsic quality. And we are developing several contract and activity to valorize this point. Last is the attempt to certify for organic production. You know that in the farm to fork strategy at the European level, it is giving a great attention and a great relevance to the conversion to organic labeling, because organic production is considered as the best option in the official label to certify the agroecological practices. And we analyzed the potential of our farming system to be promoted through the organic label. They have a great potential because there is a positive trends for the market of organic products. There is a good link with ecotourism, and internally they are based on local grassland. They are not using external input, and this is a great point. The problem are the problem that a lot of mountain regions are experiencing. In particular, there is a lack of infrastructure. We are trying to collect funds to support the development of plants for slaughtered animals, but also to produce, to work with the wool. The landscape is very difficult to manage, it's fragmented and harsh, and they need support to do it. There is a quite new problem. There is the return of the wolf in that area, and the wolf like a lot the sheep of that area. This is a big problem, and the predation and the coexistence between livestock farming system and carnivores start to be a problem difficult to manage. Another point, sheep sector is quite marginal in our region with respect, for example, to traditional cheeses produced with dairy cattle, with milk from cattle. From these two examples, we can conclude that the link between livestock system and mountain agroecosystem produce ecosystem services and has a great potential in terms of added value for the livestock products. And our idea is that there is a need to support this link with two different strategies, different but that need to be integrated. We need public payment and subsidies for ecosystem services, and we need to promote efficient territorial marketing. To have success, it is fundamental to have the farmers on board. In particular, we need to have a participatory approach to involve the smallholders. And I think that Highlands project is a good opportunity to us to improve the multidisciplinary and multi-actor approach in this kind of initiative. As take-home message, according to us, we have to move from local to global, because the link between local genetic resources, local biodiversity, traditional farming system, and cultural heritage, high quality products, and mountain agroecosystem is a key factor to ensure resilience and added value to this kind of agro ecosystem. And I would like to share with you some link. There is a link to our university, to the website, a link to our publication. In this way, I hope you can have a more element on the methodological approach we are using. If you are curious, you can contact me by email. I recommend you to visit this YouTube channel, or Sheep Oil Chain Project. We have a short video, 3 minutes video with interview of farmer, interview of the different stakeholders, and you can have a look on the local environment. I wish to thank you for your attention, and in particular, I wish to thank all the collaborators that helped me to prepare this presentation.
Really, thanks, Enrico. It was a very interesting presentation. I want to add you to this methodology that you present is very interesting also, and probably is very interesting for the partners of the project, because they have same conditions, the same challenges, the same characteristics of the territory. In particular, in Strela, I looked your work, and it's very similar. The challenges that we have with the brand certifications. So really, thanks for sharing with us all your studies. And you have some questions in the QA area.
Okay, I will answer there. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll move on the next presentation, and we will have Maria Carazia and Delpina Karatosidi, I'm sorry for the names, from the Haudemeter in Greece, and also with the colleagues from Terra Thessalia, partners of the Highlands. And they are animal scientists, so they will present the sustainability of livestock systems in Pindon Mountains range in Greece. So Maria.
Thank you very much, Hugo.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. Just give me a moment, please, to start sharing. I think that we're okay now, right?
Yes, it's perfect.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending. I will start with some general information on the Pindos mountain range. It is the most significant Greek mountain range. It forms the backbone of mainland Greece, acting as a natural barrier between the east and the west coast, and it affects our climate greatly. It extends naturally to the mountains of Peloponnese and Crete, and it is supposed to be the southwest end of the Alps. It covers an area of 9,000 square kilometers, and it features the second largest Greek mountain, which is Smolikas at 2,637 meters. Most Greek rivers originate from there, and a variety of altitudes are present, starting from 400 meters up to the height of Smolikas, with canyons, gorges, steep slopes, and dense forests of coniferous and deciduous trees that serve as an ideal biotopes for a large diversity of flora and fauna species. 30 habitat types are recognized in Pintos, 5 of which are of high ecological value at EU level, along with 2,000 species of flora, 3,000 species of mushrooms, 30 species of mammals, including the Pintos pony, which is a Greek breed of small horse that lives free in the mountains, 186 species of birds, 30 species of reptiles, and 22 species of fish. The northern part of the mountain range is protected under the Northern Pintos National Park, which was established in 2005, and it extends in an area of almost 2,000 square kilometers, being the largest terrestrial national park in Greece, which includes the Vikos, Saos, and Pintos Vallekalta National Forests, that are 2 of the 11 areas on the EU-wide network of Natura 2000 protected areas. Within this park, we recognize 11 wildlife refuges, 5 biogenetic reserves, 1 biogenetic reservoir, and 6 special preservation zones. It is evident that Pintos mountainous ecosystems have supported human survival for centuries by providing it with their natural resources and determined the type of activities that were finally developed, with livestock farming being the major one. The main management system in mountain livestock farming in Pintos is transhumance, which is a form of pastoralism developed from nomadism. It first appeared in Greece during the 15th century, and it is a seasonal activity beginning at early May until late October. Transhumance involves the long-distance movement of farmers with their livestock, and in many cases along with their family. It especially includes sheep, goats, and cattle, and the movement takes place between 2 geographical and climatic regions along steady routes. The majority of farmers practicing transhumance reside in Thessaly, in central Greece, and move their animals to Pintos Mountains. That's about 1,500 farms in total. And this production system is also eminent in the rest of central Greece and Peloponnese. In Greece, vertical direct transhumance is practiced, which is a seasonal migration of pastoral communities or families who live permanently in the plain or in the valley to higher altitude pastures during the summer. Transhumance is comprised of 3 structural elements of space: the summertime grazing lands on the uplands, the wintertime grazing lands on the plains, and the route with its stopovers. It includes approximately 650,000 sheep and 250,000 goats that are driven each spring and autumn by groups of farmers together with their dogs and horses along established transhumance routes. In sheep, we have mainly large flocks, more than 500 animals each, medium milk production and milk-fed lambs. In goats, transhumance is a decreasing trend due to low productivity, but it is an increasing trend in cattle, including suckling cows. In short, as you can see in the depiction below, from March until May, animals move in short distances around the farm and graze as main feeding shores. From June until late October, animals move to mountain pastures above 1,200 meters, where feeding is exclusively based on grazing in pastures which are main community land. And from November until February, animals are housed at lowlands and occasionally complementary feeding is provided depending on their needs. 3 types of movements are distinguished, as you can see in the map. We have medium distance transhumance routes, which are from 50 up until 100 kilometers, depicted by green arrow in the map. Long distance routes from 100 to 200 kilometers with the blue arrow, and very long distance, which is more than 200 kilometers with the pink arrow. Up until 1970, all these transfers were made on foot and would last approximately 2 to 3 weeks for long and very long distances. But now most farmers use trucks to move their animals to from mountain pastures. I already explained previously that transhumance involves the year-round grazing of sheep and goats, On the contrary, livestock in pendulation systems also spend the summer months grazing pastures in or near the mountains, but are kept in barns during the winter and exclusively fed on hay concentrates. The division between transhumance and pendulation is not absolute, and a variety of combinations occur according to the type of livestock mobility and the place where the flocks or herds originate from. Pendulation is mostly applicable in semi-extensive cattle husbandry systems, and it has been estimated that grazing in mountainous pastures can reduce feeding costs by 58% in comparison to intensive management. Most transhuman flocks and herds consist of indigenous breed animals that are more resilient and support low input management systems. Little to no investments are done in buildings and equipment, and high quality dairy products in small scale are produced that are sought after by local consumers due to their high quality. On the cultural and social functions of transhumans, it contributes to shaping the identities of farmers, forming a strong link with their ancestors. It is kept alive through social practices, such as festivals that introduce younger generations to the knowledge and skills associated with it. Farmers do have a deep experiential knowledge about the environment, ecological balance, and climate change, as transhumance is one of the most efficient sustainable livestock farming systems in terms of natural resource use and land management, and has played a key role in supporting rural economies in areas that have been facing massive depopulation, ensuring their ecological and economic sustainability. Biodiversity in Pindos is supported by transhumans as the movement of flocks and herds fertilizes the soil. It is estimated that daily 3 tons of manure per 1,000 sheep or 100 cows are produced, and seeds are spread over long distances, about 5 million seeds at 20 kilometers every day per flock or herd that is residing on the mountains. Transhumance also facilitates the creation of carbon sinks in the ground, up to 100 tons of carbon dioxide per hectare, and it's of great importance to wildlife in Pindos. As an example, I will talk to you about the presence of the Egyptian vulture and golden eagle in Pindos, which depends on the maintenance of the open pastoral landscape so that the birds can find food easily. To support that, it is known that a large number of the proposed Natura 2000 sites in Greece coincide with transhumance trails. A great number of research projects, such as domestic Lactimed, Thalis Pastomed, and local initiatives, such as the Thessalian Pindos Network, have been utilized towards the support of transhumance in Pindos. And transhumance has also been recognized in 2019 as an intangible cultural heritage, as a seasonal droving of livestock along migratory routes in the Mediterranean and the Alps, in a common effort by Austria, Greece, and Italy. For Greece, the candidacy was supported by the Greek Network of Transhuman Farmers, the Association of Pastoral Farmers of Epirus, and the Technological Education Institute of Thessaly. On an analysis of the strengths and weaknesses of transhuman livestock systems in Pindos, as strengths, we recognize the use of local breeds are adapted to the environment under low input production systems, utilizing natural pastures that are characterized by rich biodiversity and unique flora that gives quality milk and meat products that are highly estimated by consumers. The weaknesses include low population density and lack of successors in the farms, limited access to markets and infrastructure, low agricultural output prices and market distortions, and the lack of rational organization of community pastures. As opportunities, we regard the potential for improvement of infrastructure, the incorporation of innovative methods in production systems, market-oriented policies, diversification of economic activities, and cooperation between the different stakeholders. And finally, as threats, we could recount the abandonment of the transhuman way of life, the vicious circle of low productivity and low income, economic and social exclusion, and lack of strategies of professional organizations or regional policies. Finally, we hope that through the framework of Highlands 3, we will be able to improve the protection of the sustainable livelihoods in Pindos, promote collaboration with local stakeholders, focusing on development actions, environmental education, community advocacy, and active participation in biodiversity protection, we will be able to jumpstart a genuine dialogue to preserve local knowledge and sustain participation of the farmers, give prominence to cross-national issues affecting all fragile mountain ecosystems, and finally focus on participatory policymaking. Thank you very much for your attention.
Really, thanks, Maria. Your presentation was very interesting. I was really interesting because we have some similarities also with your territory, and I saw in the QA questions that also in Argentina they have the same similarities and difference with this kind of territory. So really, thanks for sharing your work.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
You don't have any question, but look in the QA if any appears. Okay, thanks. So we need to go. I will not share now the screen, but we go to the next presentation, represented by Ruben Boga and Valeria Paul from University of Santiago de Compostela in Spain, and they will present a food overview of the Eastern Mountains in Galicia and institutionalized geographical indications conditioned by the administrative boundaries. So, Ruben, please.
Yes, thanks. I will share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes, it's perfect.
Perfect. So let's start. Good evening to all. I'm Ruben Boga, a PhD student from the University of Santiago de Compostela. I'm doing my PhD in geography. More precisely, I'm investigating geographical indications of food, such as PDOs or and this European schemes. Okay, in this presentation, I will talk about the food geographical indications in Eastern Galician mountains, paying special attention to the border dynamics to which these GIs are subjected. The structure of the presentation is as follows, as you can see. So let's start. In GIs, food's geography is commonly taken for granted. Its provenance, its origin, we think about a food, and we associate it to a territory. However, as many authors have explained, the delimitation of GIs areas is a negotiated and usually a contested process where many interests, such as economic ones, meet. Indeed, GIs can be seen as social constructions. This constructed chapter calls into question the way GIs are bounded and the reasons that are behind that. Actually, it's pertinent to question how GIs can be conditioned by political and administrative boundaries. This presentation will overview the situation of some GIs located aside of external borders with Portugal on the south and of internal ones with autonomous regions of Asturias and Castile and León in the east. GIs have a strong and necessary relation with public institutions and politics. In fact, they are commonly defined as a kind of territorial-based property rights for products whose qualities are linked to specific geographic areas. Here, public institutions are made available to producers in a way that ensures them the control over the territorial resources and the given foodstuffs. This allows them to capture the premium rent associated to the reputation of these foods. And due to these characteristics, GIs were promoted within European rural development agenda as a manner to attach sustainability to rural communities. Nonetheless, the great influence of public institutions over these developments made GIs being subjected to political and many economic interests that surpassed many times the European abilities. For instance, for regional marketing, for tourism development, or to embrace more producers outside traditional production areas. Indeed, it has been demonstrated that all these objectives can influence GI's delimitations. So let's introduce the context. To understand this kind of process, we need to understand the context where GIs are developed. And in this case, Eastern Galician mountains are the highlands of Galicia. Yet, all this region is understood as peripheral and marginal. And in fact, it's characterized by low population density, migration, great aging, and in sum, the population. And the main economic activities present in this territory can be summarized in food production, mining, forestry, and in lesser degree tourism. And moreover, European funds represent another important economic influence for this area, where the opportunities are scarce. So in this context, all Galicia has a total of 20 non-spirit drinks. I discard wines, for example. GIs. Then of these food GIs cover an area that includes Eastern mountains, despite some have little presence on the region. For example, the bread is not too produced there. Indeed, many foodstuffs have a geographical delimitation that covers all or almost all Galicia, as it is simplified in the seal of the Galician honey, as you can see, or by the fact that many other foods receive the place name of Galicia, Galego, Castaña Galicia. Okay. Given this panorama, we selected 3 cases we consider that are representative of the political and border dynamics to which these foodstuffs are subjected. First of all, we selected the case of ternera gallega, Galician beef, which is by far the first meat GI in Spain, and stands out by its continuous growth and significant dynamization during the last years. Eastern mountains have a large number of these beef cows. However, ternera gallega is a seal that admits breed varieties and regional differences, paying no special attention to the mountains, as we can see in specifications. It's allowed the mixture of breeds, Galician ones, but also other breeds that are not typical from Galicia, from Switzerland, for example. And by the other hand, the cows just need to be born and raised in Galicia to meet the compliances. The scarce specifications arise some issues. First, regarding the future of indigenous breeds that are not the most profitable, but traditionally held an important role in mountains landscape management. Secondly, is that cows on the other side of the borders, even the internal ones, can be marketed as ternera gallega, although there are farms whose cows graze on pastures from both sides. We argue that all of this is because public authorities usually place more emphasis on the reputation of the political administrative regions, in this case Galicia, rather than on the conditions and qualities of the foodstuffs. As so, ternera gallega functions mainly as an overall brand oriented to the Spanish market, paying that attention to particularities of the mountain. In second place, we have focused our attention in chestnuts, which have a large presence in the northwest of Iberian Peninsula, dominated by an Atlantic warm climate. And it's all this actually constitute the same geographical region. Yet we have many different GIs following the political borders present there. Galicia accounts for one big-sized GI, which has a considerable economic activity around its production. Meanwhile, in Portugal, they have developed 4 different GIs for its territory, with 2 that are border Galicia, such as Terra Fria and Souto da Lapa. thus following a logic of more limited productions and precise origins. That is, they are more territorialized, more specific. And similarly, in Castilla and Leon, they have opted for a local kind of GI for El Bierzo, a region that also borders Galicia, as you can see. In some, there are different GI establishment logics depending on the territory they are developed. And the third and last case is perhaps the most pragmatic. We talk about butelo, a meat product consisting in pork stomach filled with ribs and other parts of the animal, seasoned with paprika and smoked for its conservation. It's typical from Eastern Galician mountains, where it tried to obtain a GI in 2006-2008, but finally failed. It was so, even though there was already an identical GI just on the other side of the border, in El Bierzo. And furthermore, on the immediate Portuguese border, another GI was established, more or less the same years it was tried in Galicia. Again, we are talking about the same few staff, produced in adjacent territories, but with political and administrative boundaries conditioning its protection and development. And contrary to the chestnut case, here Galician producers were left without a label. And it's paradoxical that even in quality restaurants in Galicia, when you order a butelo, they give you butelo from El Bierzo, because it's the one which has the GI quality assurances. Then, under this inequitable and unfair situation, it's convenient to formulate, does it make sense to have different GI labels for the same food, only because its production area is administratively divided? That's an important issue. We want to conclude this presentation calling on what will be next. We argue that given the success of many GIs in terms of development, as we saw in other presentations, in the first one, more precisely, we have that more transboundary thought for common and coordinated GI projects represent a serious opportunity to create wealth in mountains rural communities, as well to face the population and to contribute to the enhancement of the biodiversity and the maintenance of mountainous landscapes. However, we are realistic and we know that there are still important obstacles for that, as we saw in terms of competitive logics between administrations and a kind of administratively bounded rationality. I just thinking in Galicia, so we need the GI only for Galicia, and we don't think about what happens on the other side when it's the same area and producers are in the same situation, more or less. It's surprising because transboundary GIs are already a reality in Spain, such as Idiazabal cheese, that is from Basque country, Navarra, Calaspara rice, that is between Murcia and Castilla-La Mancha, or the sparkling wine cava, similar to champagne, that is present in Catalonia, in Extremadura, and other regions of Spain. But it's symptomatic that the establishment was done when the Spanish state has centralized the competences in agriculture, not the autonomous communities. In last decades, we have witnessed the birth of the first national GIs within the EU, such as the Istrian ham or the Istrian olive oil. So why could not GIs be part of European cohesion policy? And this question is also for regions that are within the same country. So more research is needed to understand how important is the link of a GI with political and administrative boundaries, and it's necessary to investigate to what extent do these boundaries restrict its developments. Thank you for your attention.
Really, thanks, Ruben.
Mm.
Thanks for your presentation. It's very interesting. Also, in Portugal, we have these same the same borders. You can say we have this chestnut also with the same questions and problems that you present, and we for sure we will work together in the near future to improve this network and with no borders, with no border
Of
questions.
course.
So and
That's why we're here also.
Yeah, the question of the quality agri-food products also in EU, we are also working in the project, international project. We can establish some connections with that question of the certification and the agri-food products quality that we have in common in these two different countries. We have also very near to your territory, UNESCO Geopark that could
Yes,
also.
yes.
Could also
I didn't
improve
talk
your,
about that, but yes.
yes. So if you have questions, please go to the QA area. And we need to continue with Mabel Shedid from Lebanon, and she is a researcher associated with of American University in Beirut. So we go to the other part of the world, and she will present the promoting traditional mountain foods, a case study from West Bekaa and Shuf of Lebanon. Mabel, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Hugo. Good afternoon, everyone. Special thanks to Fernando and Hugo for this opportunity that they gave me to be part of this webinar. As Hugo said, I come from Lebanon, from the American University of Beirut, but I am also a member of the Livestock Sustainability, which is a major partner in Highland project. Today in my presentation, I will be talking about the work that the Environment and Sustainable Development Unit, where I work, is doing in order to promote mountain food, and specifically in two regions of Lebanon, the West Bekaa and the Shuf. I will start by introducing ESTU and the different initiatives that we do. And then at the end, I will finish with a couple of publications that we did in this regard. So ESTU was established in 2001 as an interdisciplinary research and development unit at the Faculty of Agriculture and Food Sciences of the American University of Beirut. And this is the community outreach center of the faculty that links academia to research and development. This year we are celebrating our 20th anniversary of community work in Lebanon and the MENA region. Our work is based on a participatory approach. So we make sure that all our suggestions and interventions are based on the needs of the people, and they meet their need and their whatever the communities are in need for. We have, over these 20 years of work, we have built a strong capacity building program to improve the skills of the marginal communities. And here we're talking about small-scale producers, women processors, shepherds, and agro-pastoral communities. And of course, to give sustainability a chance. In 2005, ESTU founded the Food Heritage Foundation, which was later in 2013 registered as an independent NGO, aiming at documenting and reviving the Lebanese culinary heritage through different programs. And the foundation works has a special role in sustaining all the community projects that are developed by ESTU, and this beyond the funding of these projects. FHF works with the small producers and women in mountain and rural areas through main programs. The first one is the community kitchens. I'm going to be talking specifically about this program. The farmers markets, the Futurism Network, and the community gardening. Recently, we have launched a label called the Food and Roots in order to help these communities market their products. So we help them to through different activities such as training on food safety, to upscale the quality of their products, and then we select some products to be marketed through or under this label. Also, when talking about small-scale producers, it's very important to make sure that the quality of their product is very important. So this is why we have developed also a quality control system that is adapted for small-scale producers and women cooperatives who cannot afford having other certifications such as ISO or other that cost them a lot of money and that are not well adapted to their conditions. I will be talking about the community kitchens network. So when we talk about community kitchen, a community kitchen is a kitchen that is led by a group of women from the community who they gather and to cook large quantities of food or prepare large quantities of food preserves like jams, pickles, that we in Lebanon call moune. So initially, the objective of these community kitchens is for local development, creating job opportunities for the women and linking them to the farmers in their community to procure the raw ingredients they need for their productions. After 2013, following the Syrian crisis, the concept of community kitchens was revisited. We had to revisit this concept, and then the new concept was that these kitchens are linked to food assistance programs for the refugees and the vulnerable Lebanese communities. And the women from both communities gather to prepare food that is culturally accepted by both communities. Our work, our role as the STU or Food Heritage Foundation is to upscale the venue that is, or the kitchen that exists, to make it at least to have the minimum food safety standards, and then to train the women on food safety, on recipe standardization, business management, so they can also work together. As you can see on this map, it's a bit outdated, but it shows the different types of kitchens that we have in Lebanon. So we have those that are specifically for local development, others that are linked to food feeding programs, so they cook for the kids in the schools, and others specifically for food assistance that are supported by international NGOs and international donors, specifically for the refugees and the vulnerable Lebanese communities. This network of kitchens is led by a central kitchen called Akli. The word Akli in Lebanese means the meal, but at the same time it means delicious. So this kitchen, which is located in Beirut, it has the role of a hub for training and for food innovation in food. We want to preserve the traditional aspect of the food, the traditional recipe, but we also want to be a little bit innovative so we can also meet the demand of the urban communities and the youth, the young generation, which is looking also at something new and interesting. The other program is the Futurism Network that we have established. Specifically, we started with this program between the Shuf and the West Bekaa region. And this network is called Darb al-Karam, which means in Arabic, the Food Heritage Trail. Through this, the development of this trail, we started working in 9 villages between the Shuf and the West Bekaa, which are 2 adjacent regions. I'm going to be talking specifically describing these 2 regions in my next slide. But the idea was to transform these villages into a food destination or a tourism destination focused on food by highlighting the specialties of agricultural crops and recipes and food products of these regions and villages. We did a lot of mapping and surveys to identify these products. And then we developed seasonal agricultural trails for the different products that are available based on the agricultural season, and where the visitors and the tourists can come and participate in different activities based on the season. For example, in let's say apple season, they can come participate in apple harvest, also participate in the processing of apples into apple jam, apple vinegar. And they also can enjoy breakfast and lunch at the guest houses and the table d'hôte that we established. So what we did is that we developed also seasonal menus that are very specific to these villages. We tried as much as possible to highlight those traditional products, but at the same time to preserve their traditional production and add, of course, the food safety aspect to make sure that what we are promoting is fit for human consumption and it is of good quality. So why the Shuf and the West Bekaa? For those who haven't been to Lebanon or they don't know where it is, Lebanon is on the eastern side of the Mediterranean country. Here you can see the Shuf and the West Bekaa region. The Shuf extends, so it stretches from the Mediterranean Sea, from the shores, up to 1,941 meters, which is the Barouk Mountains. And the Shuf, it contains the largest cedar forest in Lebanon and the MENA region. Its topography is very mountainous and slopey, so the agriculture is terraced agriculture. The olives are rain-fed and the fruits are irrigated. On the other side of the mountain, the Mount Lebanon, which stretches from the northern part of the country till the south, there's the West Bekaa. So the West Bekaa specifically is the southern part of the Bekaa Valley or the Bekaa Plain, which also have different altitudes from 700 up to 1,900 meters. The West Bekaa is known for its key products like wheat production in rotation with vegetables, but also for its vineyards, which produce a fine quality of wine, and also its agro-pastoral systems, based mainly the Awasi sheep and the black Bedouin goat, which are both very rustic breeds, very well adapted to the conditions of the region. So the Shuf and the West Bekaa are adjacent. They are similar, and at the same time, they have a lot of differences in their systems. So it's very appealing for us to investigate and to study the differences between those two regions and the difference in the existing food systems in both regions. So this allows, a comparative analysis between the two regions. To end with, I will show a couple of research that we did, some publications that we published during these past years. So our recent, to hopefully to be submitted soon, is about assessing the value chain of goat dairy products. One of the main research focus of the STU is small ruminant production systems and value chains. So here we did a comparative study between the value chains of traditional goat dairy products between the Shuf and the West Bekaa. Another study was about the sustainability of the existing wheat production systems in the West Bekaa and the different changes that are facing or the constraints that this system is facing. And one also particular product that we worked on is called the Kishik. The Kishik is an agro-pastoral system. So it is made from milk, goat milk, that is mixed with burgul or the cracked wheat. So you can see the two different systems, the pastoral and the agricultural system. And these two ingredients are fermented together. Then the mixture is sun-dried and turned into a fine powder that is used for soup during winter, but also on pizza topping and in other also traditional recipes. The Kishik is very important for us because it has showed a resilience in its recipe and its production, despite changes and constraints that were made or we have witnessed in both its ingredients. So the local varieties of wheat have been replaced with hybrid varieties that are more productive, and the local, the indigenous wheat cannot be found anymore. This from one side. And from the other side, there have been a lot of fluctuations in the quantity of milk produced from the goats, the number of herds, but also a change in the recipe. For instance, some people don't like the acidic taste of caprine caprine milk, and they decided to use goat milk in the recipe. So despite these changes, the Kishik has conserved its role in the Lebanese mountain cuisine, but at the same time in enhancing or supporting the livelihoods of the women who are mainly responsible of this production. Another interesting product also that we are working on and promoting is called the ambaris, which is a kind of cheese that is made from raw goat milk. It is fermented in this earthen jar you can see here in the picture. And what's also special about this product, which is typically produced in the Shuf and the West Bekaa, is that it is made with the milk from goats that are grazing on mountain rangelands. We cannot use milk from goats that are on eating on crop residues, for example. And also we cannot mix between two different herds. So one jar needs to be, linked to only one herd to preserve its taste. We're working on improving the quality of these products through this quality control system that we have established, and the training that we do for the women and the cooperative, and then linking them to marketing channels. Unfortunately, we do not have in Lebanon any appellation for any products due to many challenges, but we hope that through the framework of Highland project, we'll be able to exchange a lot of expertise with the different countries and learn a lot from their experience. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mabel. Really interesting presentation also. And as we have time, all the presenters are respecting the time. We could put a question to you to answer very fast. Also, Linda put the question in the QA questions. So, if you what you mean about the put innovation in the food? Can you develop this idea? What is the innovation in the food?
So innovation can take place on different levels on the processing of food. For example, it could be the use of new technologies, but at the same time preserving the quality and the taste of the food. But it also can be in some fusions, let's say, or the presentation of the food itself. Instead of having a big dish of a meal, it could be presented maybe in another form. So this is the innovation we're talking about.
Well, yeah, thank you very much. It was very interesting. And we can see how important it is to analyze food aspects and agriculture in an integral way, because we're mixing very different aspects, the technical animal aspect, but also the environmental and different social and cultural aspects. And we see how important it is to have participatory approach. I think it's very interesting in your case that you presented, and I was impressed about the way you interact also with this social aspect with community kitchen, for instance, and well, it's showing us again the broad approach we need to understand such process related to food production. Thank you very much. And we'll move to the next presentation. Now we are going to France. We are going to Massif Central Massif in France, and we will have a presentation done by Marie Houdard. And it's a big group from 3 institutions in Massif Central working together since several years. And now in this project in Auvergne, there are researchers from INRAE research and National Institution for Research in Food and Agriculture and Environment. Also that AgroSub, also research institution for food aspects, animal sciences, agronomy and environment, and also the also another partner of the Highlands project, the Regional Natural Park Livradois Forêt. They are presenting now an interesting project in how to enforce the French food policy in the mountain regions. I think it's a challenge for many mountain regions in the world, and we will try to learn from your case study. Marie, I would like to invite you to turn on your camera and to start your presentation. You can share your screen now.
Okay. That's it. Can you see my?
We can see it.
Okay. So
perfect. Go ahead. You have your 12 minutes.
Okay. So good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Marie Houdard. As Fernando said, I'm a geographer. And so with my colleagues, we wanted to speak today about the concept of territorialization of food, and in particular about territorial food projects, which is a specific French arrangement. And we had two goals, two objectives with this presentation. First, we wanted to give you some the main elements of what is a territorial food project in France, because this is very specific. And we wanted to take the case, a local case in Massif Central, which is a territorial food project in which we are involved with my colleagues as researchers or as stakeholders. And we wanted also to list some elements concerning the presence of a mountain area in a territorial food project, because this is quite original, in fact, in the territorial food projects in France. So as an introduction, I wanted to give you some elements of context, because this work may be included in the large field related to the food transition, the territorialization of food, which can be seen as the connection between agriculture and food on territories faced to stakes of sustainability or sake of food security. And so in the literature, scientific academic literature, the authors highlight the high diversity of action, of initiatives, projects, and also of stakeholders that take part of territorialization of food. And so you can see here the figure made by Biskerk in 2009, which highlights the fact that the territorial governance of food includes stakeholders from the markets, stakeholders from the civil society, and also stakeholders from the state, the public stakeholders. And well, in France, we have some mechanisms that exist to enable the coordination of all of these different types of stakeholders. And these mechanisms are the territorial food projects. So these territorial food projects are supposed to support sustainable food. And the main characteristic is that they are based on a shared diagnosis of local agricultural production and food needs. That means that if there is a diagnosis and some elements of program of actions, this have to be decided, to be shared between lots of stakeholders. Are they from the markets, from the civil society, or from public collectivity, for example. So I insist on this, but concretely, territorial food project in France, this is a set of local initiatives coordinated in a global and transversal strategy on a territorial scale. And so only the how to say, the animation for the coordination of stakeholders is financed by the state, in fact. So the territorial food project in which we are interested, in which we are involved as researchers or actors, has been elaborated since 2017, and its goal is transversal, what means that it aims at answering to food stakes in a transversal way to take into account social issues, environmental issues, economic issues, health, and so on. But this is quite the same for all the territorial food projects in France. But the most originality of this project is that it is thought at a very large scale. The territory concerned is a very vast territory. You have here some elements of some quantitative elements, because this territory is so in the center of France, as you can see here. Here is the France, the Massif Central here, and so our territory of project is all of this space. And so we have this project includes almost 300 municipalities on more than 4,000 square kilometers. And another originality is that this territory is very contrasted because we have, as you can see here, to the west, an area marked by the presence, characterized by the presence of the city of Clermont-Ferrand, so a very urbanized area, and also with some large, how we say, plains of cereals, grains. And you have also in this very large territory an area of mountains. With the regional natural park Livradois de Forez. And so this area is characterized by the presence of these two middle mountains area, the Livradois here and the Forez at the east. And so this is a mountain area characterized by the presence of breeding and of forest for the most. And so the presence of this mountains area fully participates to the definition of the territorial project, food project, sorry, and so that is what I wanted to highlight very quickly. But what we can see first is that this mountain area has some specific resources for a territorial food project. So just some elements to illustrate this. So we are in a mountain territory, historically linked to breeding and specifically to dairy farming. So you have some picture here to illustrate the fact that breeding is historically linked to the territory. Today we have 2,000 farms with a very high importance of cattle and sheep farms on the territory. If we think about in the frame of resources, from an environmental point of view, this territory is also characterized by extensive systems with a very high presence of grasslands. We have 7% of the farms that have the label biological agriculture. And we can note also that some of the herds are often made by indigenous breeds adapted to their territory and to the local ecological resources. We can highlight also that from an we may say an economical point of view, we can highlight the presence of structuring operators, for example, a dairy that collects and transforms the milk into cheese. This territory is also characterized by the presence of two PGO areas for the production of two cheeses of the area, La Fourme d'Ambert and Le Bleu d'Auvergne. What we can highlight also concerning the stakes of local food on this territory, we can note that a lot of farms, I don't put some quantitative aspects, but you have to trust me, a lot of farms are in short food chains, often combined with long food chains. So we have on the territory open air markets, farmer stores, farm sales, and so on. And last but not least, what is very important on these mountain areas is the presence, well, in fact, this territory is the territory of the regional natural park, Livra de Forez. What means concretely that we have on this territory stakeholders, the park, which supports which supports a model of development, of sustainable development, and may support farmers also in a sustainable way of agriculture. That's it. So the specificities of this mountain make emerge also some have some specific stakes that are included in the territorial food project, but they reveal some other questions. I just put three of these questions because they are very numerous. So the first question concerns, in fact, the stake which was underlined in the project, which was the objective of 50% of food autonomy in fruits and vegetables. And in fact, we can ask how this specific territory of mountain areas with agro-pedoclimatic constraints, with the importance of breeding, how this area can participate to this objective of 50% of food autonomy in fruits and vegetables. Another example of question of stakes is related to the low density, the landlockedness of the mountain area, faced to the stake of structuring the food chains. The question is how to. We have some tools of processing on the industrial processing on this territory, but how to ensure the maintenance of these industrial tools. This is a very specific stake, a very important stake on this territory. And so in the case, in the framework of the territorial food project, some studies have begun to answer to this question. And for example, there is a work in process concerning the maintaining of a municipal slaughterhouse, which is very important for this territory. And another example also concerns the characteristic of this mountain area. that is the desertification of villages. And so faced to the stake of local food, of localization of food, we can ask how to maintain the marketing tools to meet this objective of local food. And in this case, also in the framework of the Territorial Food Project, there are ongoing actions to support producers' store or to support, to create and support a network of actions between producers and grocery stores on this territory. And just to finish, another very important point for me is the stake of governance of this project. This is an issue very, very important, and this is the originality of this project to include the mountain areas. Because as I indicated to you previously in my introduction, a territorial food project is above all an inclusive and federative project, which is based on the participation of lots of stakeholders. So, for example, I'm sorry for the French illustration here. It was just to illustrate the fact that we are in a process which began in 2017, and to highlight the fact that in the first steps, this project was characterized by lots of participation workshop between a high diversity of actors, and we noticed that during these first steps of the project, in fact, the major stakeholders participating to this project were not from the mountains. I don't know if I'm very clear, but this is a very important point concerning the inclusiveness of the diversity of actors, because the first observations that we can make concerning the participation of stakeholders in this project is that the participation concerns mostly the stakeholders of urban areas. Well, this is the first observation, and so the question, the issue today, now that we are in a state characterized by the development of actions and of partnerships, the issue concerns the governance of the project, and the question is really how to ensure, to maintain, to reinforce the inclusion of mountain stakeholders in this project. Well, as a conclusion, it's quite hard to explain this very large and complex project in just 10 minutes. But what I like you to keep in mind is that we are faced to a very large and complex project, a transversal project on food issues that ask lots of questions in very different scientific questions involving different disciplines, like those I highlighted in my presentation, question concerning the activation of the specific resources of the mountain in the food project, question concerning the resolution, the resolution of mountain-specific problems, how we can manage with isolation, low density, and so on to answer to the territorial food project stakes. And another type of question concerning the coordination of actors, the governance of the project. And so all of these questions refers, in fact, to the field of what we call the integration of different territories, of different areas, the integration of actors, the integration of activities, and the integration of spaces. Well, that's it for me. If you want more concrete information concerning the territorial food projects, I put some links here. You can ask other questions with my mail. And in fact, we would be very glad to welcome you in the Massif Central, maybe for in the next non-virtual meeting islands. We will able to share much more information concerning this project and this territory. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Marie, for this very interesting presentation. And if you stop sharing your screen, we can, I will ask all the people to turn on your cameras and to have this final discussion. As I said in all the webinars, I love this picture with all the person working in Highlands 3, and it's a pleasure to see you all together in one screen. Also the co-presenters who didn't have the possibility to talk are now invited to turn on their cameras, and if they want to make a comment in the discussion, it will be, of course, really nice to hear you. And well, what to say? There are 5 very interesting presentations with several perspective. I think there are many common aspects, and we learn how I think how wide, how open are these aspects, and the need for integral, participatory, transversal approach in order to include and to tackle all the different aspects related to food production and agriculture activities in mountain areas. Of course, there are many actors which are involved, not only in the mountain, but in the related lowlands. And they are not only related to actors, but it's a combination of natural and societal aspects we need to consider. As you all know, in this project Highlands, we want to compare initiatives all around the world. And I used to ask at the end of the webinars, how can we learn from each other, and what are the main, maybe key conclusions of our research and our case studies. That's why I will start with first questions to all of you about maybe the key issues you recognize in your case studies that you want to point out, maybe for the other initiatives to learn or to take account on. I will maybe start with Enrico and ask him to make a first conclusion or a comment in this direction.
I can evidence 2 points, Fernando. Thanks for the interesting question. During the presentation, I was thinking how to use this chance to improve our activity on the territory. I think that we can see it under 2 points of view. The first one is by the scientific or methodological point of view. I think that we all are working on sustainability of mountain products, mountain production, and we use different methodological approach. I think that if we will be able to know each other from about the methodological approach, the different discipline that we are involved in our project, this is a good point. And we can do it both with the research and innovation session, when it will be possible to organize the research and innovation session, but it's a chance for me also to invite the people that are interested in the case study to come in Italy using Highlands Fellowship and to work with us and to help us in this initiative. The second point is about the involvement of multi-actor. I have seen interesting case study. I think that one conclusion that we can share is that we need to have the local people on board. In my experience, I see that people living in mountain are often closed in their own world. it's very difficult to open the view to go in, how can I say, from local to global. Islands could be a good opportunity in this sense for us, but even for the stakeholders that are involved in our project. I would like to know your opinion about this conclusion or this vision.
Thank you, Enrico. Yes. Well, let's go ahead with the next comment, and we will try to come to this common conclusion. We will run up in the next comments. Maria, would you like to go ahead?
I definitely agree with Enrico, and the fact that both our countries are in the Mediterranean zone share lots of similar issues, both in terms of environment and breeds, and as well as probably the most important of all, the behavior of farmers and their beliefs and the fact that they are not really agile to change or learn new things. One of the main issues that we face, and I suppose that lots of the participants will face in the future, is climate change. That is something that we try to work on informing our farmers and trying to resurrect, let's say, local breeds that are really adapted to the environments that we have. I think that it is a global issue in the terms that we need to re-energize everyone to participate, local stakeholders and ministries and whoever can help in this issue. And at the same time, try to specify what might differentiate each local environment and try to find special indices in this and work with that. We're all facing huge issues which have common solutions and many minor differences that make them unique. In that sense, I think that whatever we can learn from each other and however we can interact is only going to be to our benefit. And hopefully through Highlands, that is how we will proceed until the end of the project.
Thank you. We go to the next. I don't want to be on the only one speaking between each other.
Fernando, I can talk about challenges a little bit also, based on the Lebanese experience. So, and I think this is something that is very common to all the countries, challenges related to policies, either agricultural policies or policies related to food or land tenure policies, which also are a main constraint for the activities that we conduct on for local development. Another issue is could also be related to policies is the interest of the young generation in pursuing agriculture and living in mountainous regions and rural regions. If we do not give them enough opportunities to live, they will go easily leave to the city and leave all these activities for the old people. So this is something that we should also learn from each other, how to make agriculture and food production in mountain appealing for the new generation. Thank you.
Ruben, would you like to continue there? Your microphone, yeah, to open your microphone, please. No, it's not open.
Okay.
Yes, now.
Well, my conclusions are pretty much similar. In my presentation, I was more focused on borders, but they are a very good example of how these political issues can condition the developments of, in my case was geographical indication, but many other food initiatives. are similar. I think that is a very important component. By one side, the institutional environment, but as many of you have pointed, it's very important also to embrace, to implicate local producers for the success of this kind of initiatives, because without local producers that are the ones who sustain the production and are the ones who are able to create the value of this food, nothing can be, there's nothing, we have nothing. So I think that's why geographical indications or another kind of institutionalized foodstuffs can be a means to achieve sustainability in the future, because it's a way to interrelate the political dimensions with the rural communities. Well, that's my little conclusion.
It's great, thank you. I would like to give also this, Marie again the possibility to comment on these comments, and maybe to give us an impressions for lessons learned or what they want to bring to this, also this comparative view.
Yes, I don't know how to express this, but my feeling is that we have high diversity of cases, in fact, and it's very, very interesting. So the issue will be how to share on this, and I have the feeling that we have some cases that demonstrate very well how some specificities of mountains area, some specificities of agriculture in mountains area are related to positive aspects in social way, in economical way, in environmental way. And we have also some cases that enter much more and the subjects of governance, the way different stakeholders coordinate or don't coordinate, and I think that we could maybe it would be very interesting for me to enter with territorial projects in a very large sense, and to share a framework analysis maybe. That what I would do, but an analysis framework with the concept of territorial resources that allow us to see which are the resources that are combined in this territorial project. And when I speak about territorial resources, I speak about ecological ones, activities, but also the stakeholders. And maybe with this kind of framework, we could share much more the diversity of cases.
Yes, of course, diversity, it's a very important issue, and how to compare such a diversity of ideas. But that's a big challenge for our project and Highland.3, but that I think it's also what make this project so interesting, and I think also important. If Hugo allow me, I will ask Jean-François Touran, the initiator of Highlands. I would like to ask him about what is he's thinking on. I know he's related to this topic since many years, and for sure he has a very interesting comment or question for the panelists.
Thank you.
You are allowed.
Thank you very much, Fernando. Yes, I'm very happy. You are just a lot of young people, young researchers It's very fine. And another thing, I am very happy in the presentation. I saw a lot of cattle, sheep, goats, cheese also, and just at the lunch time, it's very pleasant. But my question is about the part of local food in your research areas. And well, we know the local food or the local agriculture is very relevant for the local development in mountain areas. I think it's you share in the five presentation. It's clear, but in your specific case studies, do you think the part of local food is will increase to be stable or will decrease? Because according to the response, we have to adopt different strategy. Maybe for us, if we have, for example, in a region, we have in the global food needs of the population, we are a strong increasing of the local food. That means, well, it's maybe the policy and the different mechanism will be different than another region where the local food is decreasing. Just to have an idea. And I think this is very interesting for us because in this case, we have just, we have 4 European case studies and more in Lebanon.
May I answer?
Thank you. Yeah.
May I answer to Jean-François because it's a very interesting question. In my opinion, Jean-François, there is a space for an increase in local food in our study area. I say this both for the attitude of consumer and tourists, but even because the farm to fork strategy is supporting this vision, is a great opportunity for farmer and in specific for mountain farmer. And I think that if the farming system will be able to catch this opportunity, there is a space to increase. We developed some survey with different stakeholders to understand their expectation on local food. And there is a strong request and availability to pay for local food. I think we have space to increase, and this is very relevant in terms of what we are planning to do, which kind of scenario we are thinking on. I don't know how it is for the other situations, so I'm curious to know it.
Thank you for this comment. Anybody else want to add some comments? Yes, Ruben. First. Yeah.
In my case, I didn't make a field research, but it's quite interesting this point because I want to do field research to compare the situation of El Bierzo about when they reached a GI for Butelo and compare it with the situation of Galicia to test if they follow different trajectories since then. Well, that's it.
Yeah, thank you. Someone else? I think Marie wanted to say something. Yes.
Yes, but very quickly. In fact, I think in the Massif Central, as Enrico said, there is a space for local food, and there is a project for local food. So I'm sure it will increase. No, I'm not sure, but the aim is to increase local food on our territory. So that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, also in Strela, we have the famous Strela cheese but we have other products that could be also improved. So in this territory, for sure, this local food, local products will be increasing also for local communities and also for the tourism consumption. Mabel, you also want to speak? Say something?
Yes, I wanted to say, like specifically for the Lebanese case, we've been witnessing through the past years a lot of initiatives encouraging people to, consume locally, etc. But now, and we've been doing this at the university for the past 20 years, talking about local food systems, promoting food systems. But now, given the situation in Lebanon, the economic situation that was also followed or aggravated with the explosion at the port of Beirut, we've witnessed, like in the past year, a big movement of people going back to their lands. Planting food either in the mountain or in the city, on the roofs, on the balcony. So people are more aware, not because they want to, but because there's a need for them to produce food locally. So in addition to our, what we've been doing in the past years, now people have to do this because they want to survive and not because only for local development. So I think our case is a bit different from the others, but I think there's always a space for, increasing and promoting local food.
Yeah, thank you very much. Anyone else want to add something? It's not a possibility. François, yes?
Yes, thank you very much for the response. Just to say to Mabel, I was very surprised because I think it was 1 year before the pandemic, the pandemic area, the pandemic zone. No, but I met a major of the small town in the Cevennes, and he said, over the 10 past years, we have a lot of people. We have poor people. We have not. We receive some subsidy of the government, of the local county, like that. Then the people are coming back to a small farm and produce themselves their food, because it is these people receive subsidies to survive, but also for us, it's cheaper to live in a very small town and produce their food. Maybe it's your case in the Lebanon, especially with the Syrian crisis, but it's maybe it's another region. We are the same. And just thank you for the. It's interesting this, because well, maybe I can write something and share with you, but it's an opportunity for us if we have I don't know, several months in the next future to work and to find another kind of work. We can imagine to try to build with local stakeholders in different case studies. Our case studies, some scenario about the future of local food and compare the situation. I think it's maybe very interesting, like this. But yes. Just for we have to think.
Yes. A lot of things to think about and to talk about. I'm looking to the time, and we have the last 5 minutes. If you agree, Ugo, I will make some end conclusions. And I think we have very interesting challenges for the future and for the project. I see processes going to globalization and homogenization of very many things, but at the same time we see local processes with a new strength, with new new dynamics, and we have the possibility to combine this both normal modern solutions, innovations with with tradition, the strength of traditions, it's increasing. I'm sorry, my daughter is here. And I see also the possibility to combine scientists with practitioners, people working in universities and research innovation, with stakeholders, with organizations, with normal people from the territories. And we have a lot of different things to combine in this project. And that's a challenge, and that's make this project very interesting. I love this diversity in the topics we deal with, the diversity and the people who is here presenting ideas, and from a disciplinary view and from a regional origin, etc. And that's, I think, diversity. It's always a richness. And well. And I would like to finish this webinar presenting the next one. I will just want to show you again our web page, where you can find the information about the project, and also this webinar again. If you go to activities, you will find the 4 thematic topics of the webinar, and you will find there, for example, for the last session, the presentations, and also you can have the link to the Facebook Live, where you can see this webinar again. You can also share this link to other person and or in your network. And I would like to go back to the I'm going to see the right one, to the next webinar. In 2 weeks, we are meeting again with the fifth session and last one. In 2 weeks, we are talking about climate change, and we will have 5 presentations again from Ricardo Villalba from Argentina, Gillian Bosa from the US, Gonzalo Vieira from Portugal, Andrea Fischer from Austria, and Luis Santo also from Portugal. We will have these presentations dealing with the currently challenges related to climate change and how they influences in mountain regions in the world. I will leave this the webinar with this picture open for the next minutes. I have seen in the Q&A, there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of answers, very interesting answers, also comment to the question, etc. There's really interesting communication there. I will look if it's possible to save this this chat and this Q&A, and if it's possible, I will put it also in the homepage of the webinar, and we will be able to read it after this webinar. And I will leave it open for 10 to 15 minutes, the webinar, for you to, if you want to ask or to answer something else. And I will like to say, or invite Hugo to maybe to say the last words and to say goodbye till the next webinar. For me, I would just say goodbye and give Hugo the last words.
Just to say thank you to all the palestrants and the participants. We have more than 80 participants in this webinar, which was amazing also. And also tell to the partners, if you have ideas to develop in these Highlands projects, send them to Fernando, and we could develop some workshops and new webinars. So we need to put the Highlands on the trail. So all the ideas will be very welcome. Thanks to all.
Again, the whole picture, say goodbye, open the mic, say goodbye.
Hear yourself.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye to everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Safe.
Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you for being here.
Nice to meet you.